Hi, and welcome to Moonbeam Connections. I'm Jacqui-Leigh. Today on relationship frequencies, we're going to look at your relationship with your best friend. So I do set the intention that these messages reach those who need them when they need them. So if you did find this message today, it doesn't mean it's meant for you. However, it may not be that the entire message is for you. It may just be a portion of the message. So take what resonates and just leave the rest behind because it's meant for somebody else. So I'll shuffle these one more time. And then we will look at your relationship with your best friend. So we'll get past, present, and future. Let's see. Oh, okay. So past. And then we want for present, please. Oh, almost. It'll come out if it wants to. Oh, there we go. Okay, present. Woo, and future, please. Past, present, and now we're looking for future, please. Future of the relationship. Oh, too many cards coming out. Let's try that again. Future, please, of this best friend relationship. 8 of Cups. Ooh. Okay, so in the past we have this 3 of Swords and Ace of Wands. So there was heartbreak in the past. Like 3 of Wands is about heartbreak, separation. Like this is the breakup card, right? This is the card that comes when you're actually breaking up, which is interesting because that was your past. But we also have the Ace of Wands, which is like opportunities or being inspired or passion. I always say it's that spark of inspiration, like that sort of spark coming in, that passion driving forward. So it's almost like there was heartbreak between the two of you, and yet somehow there was this inspired opportunity. So it may have been that the two of you were both in heartbreak at the time. Maybe you had both had relationships end at the time, and so you were in heartbreak, and then you met each other, and it became this, you were inspired each other. It became this, passionate, inspirational relationship, provided you the opportunity to sort of get out of your heartbreaks. It's interesting. We have like the heartbreak card with sort of that spark of passion. But I would say is what it was is the two of you were sort of in heartbreak mode, right? Feeling down, whatever it was. Doesn't necessarily mean have to be like a romantic relationship that had ended, but maybe you'd had friendships that weren't really good. And then you meet each other and it becomes that spark, that wow, like obviously this is your best friend. So you guys really jived, right? And so that spark was there. And then in the current, it's interesting, you've got the Ace of Wands and then the Page of Wands, because I always look at the like sort of the aces is the starting out where there's no experience yet. So you're the starting of your relationship or you haven't had a prior relationship. And then the Page of Wands is like the new start with having all this experience. So you've gone through the 1 to 10 of the wands, you've gained some experience, and now you're sort of having a fresh start again, let's say. And so that's where I'd say you guys are right now. And with the Page of Wands, it's about like having being enthusiastic and excited for things, energetic, having ideas, creativity, going like exploration. And so that's where I'd say your relationship right now is kind of a fun, exciting, happy, you probably inspire each other, you help give each other ideas, and it looks like a good relationship. And then we get to the future, which is interesting because it's the 8 of Cups, and this is about walking away, leaving things behind, withdrawing, abandoning things, going off and searching. And it's interesting with the eight of Cups, because with the 8 of Cups, it's like you have these 8 cups. These 8 cups are full, and yet it's like, no, I think I want to go off and find something different. Not necessarily anything wrong with these 8 cups that are sitting here, but I'm going to leave it behind because I want to move on to something different. And so I'd say that's where your relationship is actually headed. Now, it doesn't have to be a negative thing, right? Because like I said, these 8 cups are full. So it can be that this is a good relationship, but it needs to be left behind for one reason or another, right? It might just be that somebody is moving away because they have an opportunity for a career, or they have an opportunity with a relationship, right? They've met somebody who lives far away, or they've met somebody and now that other person has opportunities farther away. And so as a couple, they are moving, and that's them, walking away. Although this relationship still has the 8 cups full, they're kind of like, well, I got to leave this behind and move on. And it can also just be growing sort of apart in the relationship. So maybe right now and in the past, this has really been an inspirational thing. You're exciting, you're helping each other, you're supporting each other. But in the future, your paths are just going to divert. And it doesn't mean there has to be anything negative about that, but that you're diverting away from each other and moving on, having your paths split. So it can be where, one person gets married and has, a whole bunch of children, and the other person is still single. And so you still, have a friendship, have those 8 cups between you, but you're living 2 very different lifestyles. And the person obviously who has a ton of kids isn't going to have a ton of time. And so it's like, okay, we're living 2 different sort of life paths now, and we're walking away from each other, but not necessarily, doesn't necessarily have to be in a negative way. And we're going to get, I think, a card of advice here for you in this relationship. And again, there doesn't have to be anything negative between the 2 of you where you're walking away from each other. It can just be simply, we're moving to different cities, or we have different lifestyles, so we don't see each other that much anymore. But it does look like in the future, this relationship will be parting for one reason or another. So let's get a card of advice here for this relationship, please. Can you get a card of advice for this relationship, please? Okay. And we have the reverse tower. So reverse tower can be about having your own personal transformation, but it can also be about avoiding a transformation or a change you need to make, having fear about something, delaying the inevitable, right? Delaying that disaster. So when we have the tower, it's about things coming crashing down, like a tower moment would be, like losing your job, losing your relationship, with your partner, that sort of thing. And so the tower comes crashing down, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing, because as that tower comes crashing down, you're able to escape it, right? You're stuck in this tower, the tower crashes. Now you're able to escape the tower and go do different things. So when it's reversed, it's almost like you're avoiding that collapse. You don't want to admit that things need to change. You don't want to admit that things need to be restructured. And so you're delaying it, or you're avoiding it, or you're in fear of this collapse coming. And so what I would say is, with this being your advice, is that, like, understand that this relationship likely will come to some sort of end, especially with this 8 of Cups that is here. I wish I had better news, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this has to be bad news, right? You can be afraid of losing this relationship. You can be afraid, that what changes, you see that there needs to be changes, but you don't want to make those changes. So if you and your best friend are living together, it may be that living together is not the best situation for the 2 of you, right? Like, you're best friends, but living together is just too much. And yet you're delaying the inevitable of having to move apart, right? Having to walk away. And maybe that's what this is about. Maybe the 2 of you are currently living together, but this is not a good structure for you. This tower has to come down to release the 2 of you so that you can walk away and live in your own residences. It doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship's going to, like, we're walking away from the entire relationship and we're never going to speak again, but we're in the same place right now. This isn't healthy. We need to change the structure. And so we're going to begin to live our own lives in our own places so that we can give each other space, but we could still remain friends within the relationship. And so I am going to get an oracle card for you as a message about this relationship. So let's see what message wants to come out for this relationship, please. This best friend relationship. Okay, that's okay. I'm having trouble shuffling though. Okay, please, what message wants to come out from this deck for this reading? Oh, and that one did. Okay. Put those cards there and pick this one up. Song of Silence. All right, so it's the Song of Silence. I'm sorry, I will get a better camera at some point. I think Santa might bring me a camera, but that's that's a few months away at this point. But I find solace in the stillness of my own being, knowing my inner flame burns bright. So this card is very much about being by yourself and finding sort of your own inner strength, right? So being by yourself, being in your own stillness, being in your own thoughts, and knowing that, like, being confident in who you are and what you're about. And this really does say to me that this is like a parting of ways. But again, it may be that you're living together and that this is about, I need to live by myself, right? I need to stand on my own 2 feet. Maybe the two of you are living together and you're relying way too much on them. Maybe, they make more money than you, so you're relying on them quite a bit financially or emotionally, or, you're too afraid to, if we don't live together, I'm not going to be able to survive by myself. I won't be able to afford my own place. I really rely on them for emotional support. I rely on them as my, sounding board all the time. And I think what Spirit is saying here is that, no, understand that you can, that by being by yourself and standing in your own light, you're going to allow your light to shine brighter. You're going to, allow yourself to expand more and to understand things better. And we're going to get a message from my message oracle deck. What message does Spirit have for this tarot card reading on our best friend? And what's happening with this situation? Can I please get a message? Oh, there we go. Ooh, check in with your body and release any tension you are carrying. Okay, so you may find that you're not even really aware of how, tense you are. Maybe if you guys are living together that, maybe you feel like you have to act a certain way, or, you feel a little bit on edge because they like the house to be absolutely perfectly clean and you're a little bit messier. And so you're always feeling, antsy about it. Oh, I got to make sure this is clean. I got to make sure that, da, da, da. And so do check in with your body and see, like, where do you need, are there tensions? Where do you need to release these tensions? What is causing these tensions, right, that you're carrying? And start looking at things and how you can structure your life to change it so that you can release, these changes that are going, or you can release this tension that is going on within your body. And we're going to get one more angel number here for this reading and see what the angels would like to send to you. We'll get an angel number, please, and thank you. So okay, that's the one that wants to come out. That was really quick. And let's see what one it is. 888. Wow. Ooh, I love this one. So 888 is abundance. And it says financial abundance and success are on the horizon. Stay focused and disciplined. All right. So if this is about this relationship, you feel maybe you're a little bit financially dependent, or that you kind of like, you have to live with them because otherwise your finances will fall apart. You don't have enough money to live on your own. This is saying that, there will be financial abundance and success. It is coming. So just stay focused, stay disciplined. So, make sure you keep your finances aligned, right? That you're paying all your bills, that you're not overspending, and also make sure you're staying focused on like your career, or however it is that you make money, your job, your career, your education, whatever it is. stay focused on that and continue, because that is going to bring you the financial abundance that you're hoping for. And it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I'm going to be super rich and be able to afford whatever I want. It means like I will have enough, that I have enough, that I feel content, I feel satisfied, that I have enough to eat plus a little bit extra. I have enough to live, and I can also go on vacation once a year. So stay focused on that abundance. Stay focused on that drive to be successful, right? But it doesn't have to be that you have to go for like the high paying jobs or anything. It's not like that. You can make enough money, you can be successful at any career, right? You need to focus on what is your calling? What do you feel happiest in? What do you feel most fulfilled in? And you follow that, and that will be prosperous. If you just chase the money, I'm just chasing the money, it won't be, because you'll end up doing things you don't really like, you don't really enjoy, you're having to slog through it and push through it. When you start doing things you love, you enjoy, you want to do, you do become successful in it because you enjoy it and you work hard at it and you're enthusiastic about it. And so all this is saying is that this relationship is a fine relationship. Right now, you guys are like supporting each other, giving each other ideas, creating excitement in your lives. But there probably will be this point where this relationship does part ways. And that will be when this tower moment comes in. But it doesn't necessarily have to be this horrible, thing about it, right? It's just you two releasing each other to sort of go on with your lives. So if you are, living together or whatever, you two parting ways so that you can start standing on your own and getting your own inner fire going and create your own abundance and your own success. So don't feel like you have to hold on to this relationship in order to be abundant, right? This relationship is part of you. This is part of your path, but it doesn't have to be the thing you cling on to forever and forever go through life with, right? You can part ways, still have a decent friendship, still, talk to each other sometimes, but not having such an intense relationship where you're always together, allowing you to go off and grow on your own and expand on your own and chase your own abundance, find your own abundance. I hope this message helped you today. I'm sending you peace, love, and happiness. Bye for now.